Have you ever wondered? Hello everyone, welcome back to Inquisitive Creation. My name is Gila, and I will be your trusted companion to explain things you ever wondered about but does not exactly know what they are. Today, we're going to dive deep into a topic that's fascinated scientists and health enthusiasts for decades. What is the ideal weight for maximum longevity? Is being thin really the key to living longer, or could carrying a few extra pounds extend your lifespan? Get ready because the answer may surprise you. We'll look at cutting-edge research, separate myth from fact, and uncover little-known truths about the complex relationship between weight and longevity. This is an episode you won't want to miss. But before we start, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an informative and thought-provoking video. For years, we've been told that dramatically restricting our calorie intake is one of the keys to living a very long life. The theory behind calorie restriction goes like this. By sharply cutting calories, we reduce metabolic stress and oxidative damage to our cells, thus slowing aging. Numerous studies on many different species, from microscopic worms to rodents, have found that severe calorie restriction does indeed appear to significantly extend lifespan. Rhesus monkeys put on a calorie-restricted diet showed improved health markers and lived longer than their normal diet counterparts. This led many to conclude that for humans, extreme calorie cutting and being dramatically underweight is the path to a longer life. But is that true? While calorie restriction has been shown to extend lifespan in most species studied so far, recent research on actual humans tells a very different story, and the findings flip the calorie restriction myth on its head. A major study published in 2022 tracked over 100,000 people in the United States over a period of 30 years. It found that those with the lowest body mass index, or BMI, the ones doing the most extreme calorie cutting, are the ones that had the highest risk of early death. To explain quickly, BMI is a simple way to measure whether someone has a healthy weight for their height. To calculate BMI, you divide your weight in kilograms by the square of your height in meters. Imagine you have a scale from too thin to too heavy. BMI helps put people somewhere on that scale. If your BMI number is low, you might be too thin for your height. If it's high, you might be carrying too much weight for your height. Here's a breakdown of what different BMI ranges mean. If your BMI is below 18.5, you're considered underweight. A BMI between 18.5 and 24.9 is considered healthy. A BMI between 25 and 29.9 is considered overweight. If your BMI is 30 or above, it's considered obese. The sweet spot for the lowest mortality risk was a BMI of around 27 for men and 24 for women. In other words, being overweight but not obese was associated with the longest lifespans. Surprisingly, having a normal BMI in the 20 to 25 range only provided a moderate decrease in mortality compared to being thin. These findings blew apart the conventional calorie restriction dogma and were backed up by other large-scale studies on real humans. For example, research on over 11,000 Canadian adults published in 2018 found that those with BMIs in the overweight range lived significantly longer than those in the normal or underweight categories. So, while starving lab animals may extend their lifespan, for humans, moderate overweight rather than underweight appears ideal for longevity. But why is this the case? The uncomfortable truth is that for humans, being slightly overweight provides a buffer against frailty and muscle wasting in old age that can lead to disability, loss of independence, and earlier death. You see, longevity isn't just about slowing cellular aging and oxidative stress. It's also about avoiding or delaying the debilitating conditions that kill most people in advanced old age. For instance, conditions like heart failure, infections, injuries from falls, and more. While being overweight does modestly increase disease risks like diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, It also reduces risks of bone fractures, muscle wasting, and other geriatric frailty syndromes. This frailty protection seems to outweigh the disease risks at least up to a certain BMI level. In fact, studies have shown that older adults who are overweight or moderately obese tend to have significantly better survival rates. This is after a major health crisis like a heart attack, stroke, or respiratory disease than their thinner peers. So, while calorie restriction may slow some aspects of aging at the cellular level, it fails to optimize for overall longevity because it increases frailty. It's a classic trade-off between delaying aging and avoiding fatal frailty. You might be thinking, okay, so being a little overweight is best, but surely obesity drastically cuts your lifespan, right? Well, here's where things get even more surprising. Even obesity doesn't reduce lifespan as much as you might expect. Researchers have uncovered what's called the obesity paradox. This is where obese people often live longer than people of normal weight, with the same chronic diseases as diabetes, heart disease, or kidney disease. For example, a 2013 study found that obese people who had a heart attack had lower mortality rates than heart attack survivors of normal weight. Similar obesity paradoxes exist for survival rates after strokes, heart failure, kidney disease, and more. Now, this doesn't mean obesity is healthy or something to aspire to. Obesity substantially increases disease risks. It just means that for those who are already sick, having more metabolic reserves and higher muscle mass associated with obesity improves crisis resiliency and survival odds. Scientists are still debating the causes behind the obesity paradox, but the leading theories point to obesity providing crucial metabolic reserves to better tolerate acute health crises and the aggressive treatments for them like chemotherapy. Obesity may also be correlated with other unknown longevity genes or factors. So, while obesity is far from ideal from a health perspective, it doesn't universally shorten lifespan nearly as drastically as most people assume, at least not after reaching elderly ages. At this point, you may be thinking, okay, so maybe being overweight or obese isn't an automatic death sentence. But surely all that extra fat can't be good for you, right? And you'd be absolutely correct. Here's the critical distinction: it's not just about your total weight or BMI number. What really matters when it comes to longevity is the composition of that weight, specifically how much is fat versus muscle. Carrying extra fat, especially around the abdomen, is metabolically harmful and increases disease risks. But carrying extra muscle is extremely protective for longevity, especially as you get older. Multiple large studies have found that people with more muscle mass, even if they're overweight according to BMI, tend to live substantially longer than those with less muscle, even at the same weight. For example, research published in 2014 evaluated over 500,000 adults and found that people with the highest muscle mass had the lowest risk of death, regardless of their BMI category. Other studies have replicated these findings, linking higher muscle to longer lifespans. The reason muscle is so critical for longevity is multifaceted. It improves glucose metabolism, boosts antioxidant defenses, releases beneficial compounds that counteract inflammation, improves bone strength, enhances balance and mobility, and much more. So, from a longevity standpoint, prioritizing muscle-building resistance training and getting sufficient protein may be one of the most powerful things you can do, regardless of your weight goals. Okay, so let's put all these pieces together. What does the science say is the true longevity zone for ideal weight? Well, it's a bit of a range, but the data points to. For women, a BMI between about 23 to 27, but prioritizing muscle mass even if on the higher end of that range. For men, a BMI between around 25 to 30, again with plenty of muscle compensation at the higher BMIs. But remember, these are just rough estimates based on the data we currently have. The most important factors are having sufficient muscle mass and strength, especially as you get older, avoiding obesity, and focusing on overall metabolic health markers, like insulin sensitivity, inflammation levels, and visceral fat. Two people could have the exact same BMI, but vastly different body compositions and health profiles, based on factors like exercise, nutrition, genetics, and more. With all that said, it's important to address a serious potential dark side to the calorie restriction and forced leanness mentality that's so pervasive, especially in certain fitness and bodybuilding circles. When the message is constantly being spread that being as lean as possible is the epitome of health and longevity, it can easily trigger unhealthy obsessive behaviors and mentalities around food and body image. This is a real danger that has impacted millions worldwide. The truth is, being a little softer or rounded, especially for women, is perfectly normal, healthy, and natural. Carrying some extra body fat does not make you unhealthy or unattractive. In fact, fighting against your natural set point and body type can lead to nutrient deficiencies, metabolic dysregulation, and psychological stress. At the end of the day, sustainable lifestyle behaviors and self-acceptance are what really matter for long-term well-being. Obsessing over extremely low body fat levels is not only unnecessary for most people but can be outright harmful. Appreciate your body, nourish it properly, and let go of toxic societal narratives that glamorize forced leanness at all costs. The healthiest approach is to find the leanest level where you feel energetic, your cycles are regular, and you're at peace with your body, not stuck in a cycle of deprivation and self-criticism. That's the balanced path to real health and happiness. In conclusion, while striving for fitness is admirable, we must be careful not to take it to an extreme that endangers our physical and mental well-being. Forced leanness and deprivation are not the answers. Instead, focus on sustainable habits, self-love, and finding the body composition that allows you to feel your best without obsession. At the end of the day, that balanced approach is true wellness. So, there you have it, the truth about the dangers of forced leanness and deprivation. I hope this serves as a wake-up call to anyone struggling with unrealistic body ideals or disordered behaviors around food and exercise. Your health and happiness should always come before arbitrary leanness goals. Focus on treating your body with respect, nourishing it properly, and finding the balanced path that allows you to feel your best without obsession. If you found this message valuable, I'd really appreciate if you could hit the like button and share this video to help spread this important perspective. And if you're new here, subscribe and hit the notification bell, so you never miss my latest uploads on building a body and life you truly love. I'm grateful to have you here and to be a voice against the toxic narratives that can harm so many. Let's continue normalizing self-acceptance, sustainable habits, and prioritizing authentic wellness over arbitrary ideals. Together, let's prioritize food safety and ensure that every meal is a source of nourishment and joy. This is your friend Gilo, signing off from Inquisitive Creation. Thank you so much for watching.